a
Got it?
presentation, correct?
Yes, it's a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going old school.
I love PowerPoints.
And
Let's
you put this in the like it's updated in the event.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I see people joining, so yes, we did.
Very cool. And then very cool. And then post. Very cool. And then cool. Are you ready?
I am. How do I show my PowerPoint on Zoom?
So I made you a co-host. So you're a co-host. So you just say share screen.
Forgive me, guys. Share whiteboard. That's not what I want. Okay. It's
I
not
don't
under
know
whiteboard.
names in the group.
I am so embarrassed. I don't know how.
So while we're here, you guys are more than welcome to introduce yourselves. Please turn on, if you want to turn on your mics or your videos. I see Kat in here. Hi, Kat. Um, and then just kind of where everybody's from and how long you've been in SD. I am so excited for this specific live because I just thought it was such a good topic because we always get the back and forth about being misclassified and what to do and so on and so forth. Obviously, the point of the group is to educate you guys and hopefully just empower you with knowledge so that you feel confident in any work situation that you go into.
Uh, is there anyone here who feels that they are misclassified and that's why they're joining the session, or just curiosity? You can turn on your mic.
Did you figure out how to do the PowerPoint presentation?
I think so. It's start share.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to mute myself so you can get started. Cool.
Cool. Hey, so is there anyone in here who is joining because they feel they're misclassified? You're welcome to speak up. And is this what you guys, what are you seeing?
I see it. It's perfect.
It's perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Just watching out of curiosity. Cool. Okay. So, welcome. So, we are going to be talking about misclassification. It's a common issue. We see it all the time in the groups. Questions come up about what is misclassification and what isn't misclassification. So I hope that this presentation is going to bring clarity as well as the feeling of empowerment. It can be really daunting when you go on the IRS website, particularly if you're not familiar with the lingo and it seems overwhelming. It can feel like it's really easy to just be like, you know what, I'm not going to do this. But I really want everyone to feel empowered to go ahead and correct the situation, get some of your money back, as well as letting employers know this is not okay. This is not an acceptable form of doing business. It's illegal. And there are repercussions if you do choose to go down this path, or at least for the employer, there is. So hopefully this guide brings a lot of clarity to misclassification. And so hopefully if you're misclassified, you'll feel empowered to go ahead and fill out the forms. So I'm going to walk you through. It's going to be a step-by-step guide. I'm not here to like sell you anything. I'm literally just showing you how you can do it yourself. And even if you decide, you know what, I don't want to do this myself, I really like my accountant, I'm going to have them do it. You know the process, you know what they're going to be doing, so you can know what paperwork to expect to bring to them, and you can know what's going on. Okay, sounds good? All right. Let's back up. What is misclassification? So misclassification is when an employee is misclassified, a worker is classified as an independent contractor rather than an employee, aka you receive a 1099 at the end of the year, not a W-2. Okay. The IRS is going to play a crucial role in ensuring the proper classification for tax purposes, but you do need to report it if it's happening illegally. Unfortunately, in the United States, a lot of this relies on self-reporting, okay? They're not going to necessarily find out that employees have been misclassified. Even if they audit the company for different reasons, they still might not know that misclassification is happening. So self-reporting is really the only way to correct this issue as of now. Misclassification can have significant financial and legal consequences for the employers and workers. All right, so how do you know if you're misclassified? So I've broken down the employee category, and then I've broken down the independent contractor category. And I want to show the distinctions between the two. A lot of times the messiness comes from blurring the lines. So an employee has very clear guidelines about what an employee, the IRS has very clear guidelines about what an employee is. An employee is controlled by the employer regarding work hours, tasks, working conditions. All products and tools are provided by the employer. And then you are entitled to employment benefits such as health insurance, retirement plans, and paid leave. Okay, and then the big one is that your taxes are withheld from your paycheck by the employer. Okay, they're going to withhold their portion, they're going to pay their portion of employee taxes, and then they're also going to withhold your portion of taxes. So at the end of the tax year, you don't owe anything. Okay. An independent contractor, you are your own business. You retain control of how and when work is performed. You are responsible for your own taxes. They are not withheld from by your employer from your paycheck. And one of the key differences between an independent contractor and employee is that typically they are hired for specific projects or tasks. Independent contractors don't perform the main function of a business. So a good example of an independent contractor might be lawn maintenance for a spa. They're not performing the main function to the spa. They get to choose when they want to perform their work, and they're paid out by the spa, but the spa does not tell the lawn maintenance how to do their job. Okay, and they're definitely not providing any tools for them at all. Okay, and another key component of being an independent contractor is that you going to take payment from your clients, not through the firm. You don't get a paycheck from your employer as if you're an independent contractor esthetician. Okay, you are taking payment directly from the client. That's a really key distinction. And honestly, one of the easiest ways for me, whenever I see a post about whether or not, if someone's confused if they're being misclassified, if they're not taking payment, they're misclassified. If they're a W-2 or they're receiving a 1099 and they're not taking their own payment, that's a pretty clear sign that they are misclassified. Okay, and then I have this fun chart. I found it online. I'm not gonna pretend like I made it, but it also helps clear up some of the distinctions if you're still a little bit confused about whether or not you're an independent contractor or employee or what you should be classified as. This helps break it down a lot more. You're welcome to take a picture of it, screenshot it. I have it on my website as well as my Facebook group, Advocacy for Estheticians, if you want to take a look at it there. But I think it does a really, really good job of breaking down the differences. And a lot of these are the same things that we just covered earlier with, an employee, you're working for someone else, you're paid hourly or per service. That's like a commission basis, which you can definitely do as a W-2. You just have to make sure that you're receiving at least minimum wage for all hours worked. And then you typically, as an employee, will work for one employer. I know sometimes we have multiple jobs, but the reality is that we usually only work for maybe 2 to 3 jobs. An independent contractor could work for 20 plus people. Okay, they're really not constricted to just one place. Okay, you have like continuing a relationship with them, and the employer decides when and how the work is performed, and then the employer assigns the work performed. And then of course the independent contractor, you are running your own business. Okay, you're paid upon completion of the project. Okay, finish the service, the client pays you. Pretty simple. Okay, you provide all of your own equipment and tools. You're working with multiple clients, and then the temporary relationship until the project is completed. That would be like the independent contractor who, this is not like a booth renter situation. That would be like the lawn maintenance type of person. Like this is not, they're not performing the main service of the business, right? So it's not like they're showing up every day like an employee, which was where you see a lot of the abuse come from, right? It's because an independent contractor should really be a pretty temporary relationship. But if you're there all the time, you're an employee. Okay. Sides when and how work performed, decide what they will do. Okay. Hopefully. Blurring the lines is the ultimate problem when it comes to misclassification, because we have these very clear guidelines about who is what's an employee, what's a 1099. And what you see is that employers love to blur those lines. They want the best of both worlds. And while I can see their side, it's not legal. And you're losing a lot of benefits by accepting a 1099 position over being a W-2, okay? IRS criteria for classification. The IRS considers the following factors when determining classification, like behavioral control, financial control, and then what is the relationship between the worker and business. I'm not going to go all over all of this again, but I want you to keep this in mind when you're filling out your SS8, okay? All right. What are the consequences of misclassification? The employer themselves will have consequences if they misclassify you, the worker, as a 1099 when you should be a W-2. They're going to have to pay back all of the taxes that they did not pay. Okay. Sometimes the IRS will set up a payment plan with them. They are going to have interest and penalties. Okay, that could be up to $1,000 per employee. Okay, if there's a lawsuit involved with this, that could be very, very financially damaging to the company, as well as the reputation, right? You don't want to be known as the employer that is kind of scamming their employees. That stuff gets around, okay? And then for you as the worker, what are the consequences? Well, you're not eligible for unemployment. We just had a pandemic. Nobody saw that coming. economic downturns happen all the time. If you get laid off from the spa, you can't seek unemployment benefits because you are technically self-employed, okay? Your increased tax liability due to the need for self-employment taxes. A lot of people are not prepared to do their own taxes. If you are going solo, hopefully you've done enough research and you know that, you know, what you need to set aside. But a lot of people get into these 1099 situations and they don't understand the full ramifications of being a 1099 or a excuse me, yeah, it's 1099. And so they don't understand that they're going to have to take on a huge tax burden. So they might see on the front end a lot of money coming their way, but on the back end, they're going to have to pay a lot in taxes that they're not prepared for. Okay, and then you have limited legal protections, usually granted by employees. Okay. Do we have any questions? I'm sorry, I rambled for a very long time. Do we have any questions at all before I move on to the next section? How's everyone doing? Have I bored everyone to death? Thank you, Maria. No questions. Cool. I'm so far making sense. Oh, I know this is very informative. This is not like a fun, flashy, normal webinar. I don't have any like fun products to show you, but I'm really hoping that this is beneficial to those who are in this unfortunate situation. Okay. Okay. So let's say, come on. Let's go. Let's say you have already spoken to your employer. That's usually the first step that I recommend, especially if you have a good relationship with your employer, is to go ahead and talk to them, and they can make the changes before you get the IRS involved. They can choose to sort it out themselves and get you classified correctly, fix all the taxes. Like you don't necessarily have to go through this process. This is only if they feel that, you know, you're not correct, then you're going to go ahead and your next step is going to be to file the form SS8. And that's going to leave it basically up to the IRS to determine whether or not you are being misclassified. So it's not a guarantee, but if you have, you know, a preponderance of evidence showing that you are misclassified, I wouldn't be too worried. The courts do lean a lot towards the worker more so than the employer, because they have an expectation that the employer knows the law. So I would feel very confident if you have read through this list and you can clearly see that you are being misclassified, to not be worried. Okay. So I'm going to show you the form SS8 because it can feel very daunting, and I'm going to break it down for you so that you feel super duper confident when filling it out. I'm going to show you that it's actually not that hard. You don't have to have a degree in accounting or be it, you know, like a CPA or anything like that to fill out this form. You can do it yourself. Okay. So this is a screenshot of the IRS website. And what do you know? I have a giant ass arrow and it is pointing right there. That is the PDF that you need to download and fill out. Okay. And then I'm going to show you what this form looks like. Woo! Can everyone see it? Yes. Cool. That out of the way. Alrighty, so this is the form. A lot of this information is just general information that you are going to already have on hand. It's going to be your information. It's going to be the company that you work for's information. Okay, it's pretty simple stuff. It's 4 pages, so it seems like a lot, but a lot of this, I mean, you can see this is just information that they're providing to you, and then they just need like general name of the firm's website, anything that you can provide. Okay. And then let's go back to the slideshow. So the most important pieces of information when completing the SS8, which I'm not going to necessarily fill it out for you because everybody's going to have different information to fill in. A lot of it is just going to be specific to you and your situation. It's important that the SS form will be returned to you if all required information is not provided. And the IRS cannot make a determination on the SS8 unless you complete all parts. Okay, this needs to be completely filled out. And remember, if you cannot answer a question, you just mark it as unknown or does not apply. Okay, so you might find certain sections are geared more towards salespeople more than service providers like us as estheticians. So you would just go ahead and write does not apply in that section, but just make sure that it's all filled out. Okay, so that's going to cut down a lot of the paperwork. Okay, and then you want to make sure you complete Part V for service providers, which is what we are, if the worker provides a service directly to the customers. So that's us. All right. Okay, I just scrolled so fast through that. I'm so sorry, guys. So big highlights from the incomplete SS8 forms will not be processed. Okay, this includes, please include a copy of your 1099 that you received. Okay, any pay stubs, bank statements, any information you have at all about even like a contract that you had signed with this place is information that's valuable. Remember, there's no fee associated with this either, so that's another reason not to be scared off from filing the SS8. Okay, the IRS is kind of living a little bit in the dark ages. They want you to mail or fax the form. I would say that's probably one of the hardest parts about this is having to literally send it in the mail. But I did provide the mailing address for you, but it's very, very available on the IRS website. So it won't be that difficult to find. Okay. The most important things to take away from this, it can take up to 6 months for a determination to be made. It's a long time, okay? While you want your money back, especially if you just discovered, like maybe you received that 1099, and you're like, wow, I owe a lot in taxes, like this is not okay, something's not right. You still have to pay those taxes. You still need to file your taxes on time. Sorry, but in the back end, once they've made the determination, that's when you're going to get your money back. So that is the unfortunate part of this, is that you still need to follow through with paying with your taxes. And it's going to take a while. The IRS is really slow. They're really burdened. It's not, I'm not lying to you. Like when I say it's not a perfect machine. So it's going to take a while. Another thing to highlight about filling out the SS8 is that they will send the same SS8 to your employer. So your employer fills out the same form, and then they have your form, and then they make a determination based off of the information provided from both the employer, the firm, and yourself. Okay, and any evidence that you've submitted with it. Then the next step is that you're going to have to correct your taxes. I know that you already filed your taxes, but now that you're changing your worker status, you're going to need to complete a 1040X. This is an amendment to your initial tax filing that you do at every end of the year. Completing the 1040X is a super duper simple. I believe I have a slide here. This is about filling out the form. Literally, you leave lines 1 through 23 blank. You write preventive claim at the top of page 1, sign and date it. Okay. and you enter the following statement in part 3, filled out form SS8 with the Internal Revenue Service Office in Holtzville, New York. And by filing this perfective claim, I reserve the right to file a claim for any refunds that may be due after the termination of my employment status has been completed. Pretty simple, and you can do it online. I don't know why they don't have everything else online. That's, insane to me, but you can do this online. So that'll be a really simple form. And that's just going to help you get your refund after they make the determination. Okay. And I have at the very last line, find a new job. Your employer is probably not going to be pleased with the fact that you fill out this form. I know that what they're doing is illegal, but in their mind, they're going to probably not take it the right way. They're also going to owe a bunch of money. So they may not have the financial capabilities of keeping you on and other staff members on. And so just keep in mind this could form some sort of conflict, rub someone the wrong way, especially if you've already tried talking it out with them prior to filling out this form and you didn't get anywhere. Yeah, might want to start shopping around because unfortunately employers don't take it the right way. Here we go. And then last but not least, this is my website. I make posts relating to employers or workers' rights as estheticians. I don't really focus a lot on the skincare, which might seem a little funny as an esthetician, but I focus more so on just like workers' rights and how to be successful in a professional sense, not necessarily in the intricacies of aesthetics itself. So you're welcome to check out my website, page, whatever. You're always welcome to send me a message as well. I try to respond to all of the messages I get on Facebook. And I try to be as helpful as possible. And I'm really hoping that this webinar has been immensely helpful. I know Maria has it recorded, so now people will be able to go back and review it. Yeah, so any thoughts? Was that confusing as hell, or was that easy? Like,
I think it's a lot to process, but
okay.
super informative. And that's why I love that you were like willing to do this, because like you really put a lot of time, thought, energy. Like you had to study this.
I did, but once I took everything apart, I realized that it's not that hard.
Right.
Like it seems like a lot of information, but the reality is it's just a couple of forms. You got to take the time to mail it in. I'd say that's the most annoying part is like having to drop something off at the post office. But I mean, finding a stamp, like that's probably it's really like once you open it up and take a look at what they're actually asking for in the form, you'll realize it's information you already have on hand.
Yeah. So this is already live streamed to the group. It's pinned to the top. So somebody said, as a recent grad, this was helpful. Oh, this is really helpful. I told you, I was like, you just need that one person. You know what I mean?
Right.
So awesome. So it's already streamed to the group, pinned to the top.
Okay.
I would think we would make maybe you can make another post and I'll approve it. So just to kind of keep the conversation going.
Sure.
It's just
Is this
about
something? Oh, I'm so sorry. Is this something people are going to be able to go back and review, like on your website?
Yeah, it's already in the group.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You'll see it's pinned to the top right now.
Okay. I'm trying to. How do I stop screen
You're
share?
like, how do you stop sharing? But thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I think we should do this every 3 months to kind of get the juices flowing. And we will continue the conversation back in the group.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Maria. This means a lot.
No, thank you for taking the time. This was hard work.
Thank you. You guys take care, okay?
Bye.
Bye.